The Silent Strike. Dr. Sarah Chen stood at the observation deck of the Titan research station, her eyes fixed on the swirling storms of Saturn below. 20 years of studying exobiology had taught her to trust her instincts, and right now, every scientific fiber in her being screamed that something was terribly wrong. The birth rates in the outer colony worlds had been dropping steadily for the past 5 years, and no one could explain why. "Doctor, you need to see this." Marcus Webb, her assistant, burst into the room, his tablet projecting a holographic display of genetic data. "The samples from New Eden Colony just came in. It's not a natural phenomenon." Sarah's heart raced as she analyzed the data. The genetic degradation patterns were too precise, too systematic to be random mutation or environmental factors. "This is manufactured," she whispered, the implications hitting her like a physical blow. "Someone's doing this to us." Within hours, the Titan station's quantum comm array transmitted their findings to Earth's Defense Council. The message would trigger the most significant mobilization in human history, but not in the way their enemies expected. Admiral James Rodriguez sat in the dim light of the Emergency Operations Center beneath Geneva, studying the reports from Dr. Chen's team. Around him, the leaders of Earth's major powers had gathered, their faces grim as they processed the truth. Humanity had been under attack for years without realizing it. The sterilization agent is incredibly sophisticated, the holographic projection of Dr. Chen explained. It targets specific sequences in human DNA, gradually reducing fertility rates over generations. If we hadn't caught it now, human civilization would have quietly faded away within a century. Do we know who's responsible? The Chinese premier's question hung heavy in the air. Admiral Rodriguez nodded slowly. "Long-range sensors detected unusual energy signatures at the edge of our space. We've been monitoring them for months, thinking they were natural phenomena. Now we know better. They're cloaked installations, likely belonging to an advanced alien civilization or alliance that sees us as a threat." The room erupted in angry murmurs, but Rodriguez raised his hand. "Ladies and gentlemen, I propose we give them exactly what they expect." A thin smile crossed his face. "Let them think their plan is working. Meanwhile, we prepare." The next 3 months saw the largest covered operation in human history. While the public remained unaware, Earth's best minds worked tirelessly in hidden facilities across the solar system. Dr. Chen's team developed a counteragent to the sterilization weapon, but they didn't deploy it immediately. Instead, they began implementing what would become known as Operation Ghost Protocol. In the asteroid belt, massive automated factories began production under complete emissions blackout. The Mars colonies reduced their power signatures to appear struggling, while beneath the red planet's surface, vast chambers were carved out to house the new quantum arsenals. Jupiter's moons became home to training facilities where soldiers learned to operate technology that officially didn't exist. Sarah found herself working closely with Admiral Rodriguez as they pieced together their enemy's capabilities. The alien alliance, which they began calling the Shadowers, had technological advantages in many areas, but humanity had something they didn't expect: desperate innovation. "They've been watching us through conventional means," Sarah explained during one strategy session. "They track our official communications, our visible infrastructure, our public scientific development. But they've missed something crucial about human nature. We're at our most dangerous when backed into a corner." Rodriguez finished her thought. The breakthrough came from an unexpected source. Dr. Yuki Tanaka, a theoretical physicist working in a deep-sea facility off Japan's coast, developed what she called quantum mirror technology. It allowed objects to exist in a state of temporal flux, essentially becoming invisible not just to normal detection, but to the very fabric of space-time itself. While the Shadower sensors registered human activity declining across the colonies, humanity was building something unprecedented. The first Phantom Fleet took shape in the void between worlds, ships that could strike without warning and vanish just as quickly. 6 months after Dr. Chen's discovery, Admiral Rodriguez stood before the combined leadership of Earth and its colonies. The enemy believes they're witnessing the quiet extinction of humanity, he began. They see our colonies struggling, our population growth stalling, our expansion into space slowing. They think we're dying. He activated a holographic display showing the true extent of human preparation. Thousands of ships equipped with quantum mirror technology, weapons that could match or exceed anything the Shadowers possessed. A defense network that stretched across the solar system, all invisible to their enemies. They tried to kill us slowly, quietly, without honor, Rodriguez continued. They didn't want a war. They wanted an extinction event, but they're about to learn something about humanity. He paused, looking at each person in the room. We don't die quietly. As the meeting concluded, Sarah found herself standing next to the Admiral, watching Earth rotate slowly in the viewport above. Do you think we're ready? She asked. The Shadowers spent years carefully orchestrating our extinction, Rodriguez replied. We've spent months preparing their surprise. Sometimes the shorter time frame yields better results. He turned to face her. They thought they were being clever, being cautious, but they made a fundamental mistake. What's that? They gave humanity time to get angry. In the darkness of space, the Phantom Fleet waited. Humanity's counterstrike would reshape the galaxy, but not through genocide or revenge. They would show their enemies something far more terrifying. Mercy backed by strength. The silent strike was ending. Humanity's response was about to begin. Operation Deadlight. The quantum mirror engine hummed softly as Captain Maya Patil guided her ship, the Ghost Runner, through the void between Jupiter and Saturn. To any conventional sensors, this region of space was empty. In reality, it contained humanity's largest military assembly in history. Status report on the Shadower observation post. Maya commanded, her dark eyes fixed on the holographic display before her. Still watching the abandoned mining facility on Ganymede, Captain, Lieutenant Carlos Rodriguez replied. They're recording exactly what we want them to see, a failing human operation, shutting down due to resource constraints and low personnel. Maya allowed herself a small smile. The deception ran deep. For every visible human facility that appeared to be struggling or shutting down, 3 hidden installations operated at full capacity beneath the surface or within quantum-shifted space. The Shadowers thought they were watching humanity's decline. Instead, they were watching an elaborate play performed for their benefit. In her private quarters that evening, Maya reviewed the latest intelligence from Earth Command. The Shadowers had increased their presence in the solar system, likely coming to observe what they believed would be humanity's final whimper. Their cloaked installations had doubled in number, all of them monitoring the apparent deterioration of human civilization. They still don't understand what they've done. Dr. Chen's voice came through the quantum comm, completely undetectable by conventional means. They think they're being methodical, scientific even, watching a species slowly fade away. How long until the counteragent is ready for deployment? Maya asked, studying the biological data scrolling across her screen. That's the interesting part, Sarah replied, excitement creeping into her voice. We've not only neutralized their sterilization agent, we've used it to create something new, something they won't expect. The development Sarah referred to was the pinnacle of human genetic engineering. By studying the Shadower's weapon, human scientists had unlocked secrets about DNA manipulation that would have taken centuries to discover otherwise. The counteragent didn't just protect against the sterilization effect. It enhanced human cognitive and physical capabilities in ways that were subtle but significant. Deep within the quantum-shifted space of the Ghost Runner, Maya visited the ship's special cargo hold. Rows of sleek pods lined the walls, each containing a member of the new Special Operations Division. These soldiers had volunteered to be the first recipients of the enhanced counteragent. They appeared normal by every scan and measure, but they possessed abilities that would prove decisive in the coming conflict. Fleet-wide update. Admiral Rodriguez's message reached all Phantom ships simultaneously. Operation Deadlight enters Phase 2 at 600 tomorrow. Prepare for synchronized revelation. Maya spent the next hours reviewing the operation plans with her crew. Humanity's response would begin not with a bang, but with a carefully orchestrated series of revelations. The Shadowers were about to learn that their sterilization program had failed, but the truth would be far more terrifying than that simple fact. At precisely 600 Earth Standard Time, every Phantom ship activated their quantum beacons. Across the solar system, humanity's hidden fleet flickered into existence. The Shadowers' sensors suddenly detected thousands of ships where moments before there had been nothing. The Ghost Runner led the first strike team. Their target wasn't a military installation or command center, but rather one of the Shadowers' observation posts. Maya watched as her special operations team breached the alien facility with precision that seemed impossible by human standards. "Remember," she broadcast to her team, "we're not here for revenge. We're here to send a message." The operation took exactly 7 minutes. When it was complete, the Shadowers' observation post had been captured intact, its crew detained but unharmed. Similar scenarios played out across the solar system as humanity revealed just a fraction of its true capabilities. Within hours, the first transmission arrived from what appeared to be the Shadowers' leadership. The message was simple, a request for immediate communication. Admiral Rodriguez's response was broadcast on all frequencies, in all known alien languages, and through every method of communication humanity had discovered. "We accept your request for dialogue. But first, you should understand what you're dealing with. You tried to kill us quietly, thinking we wouldn't notice until it was too late. Instead, you gave us the motivation to exceed every limitation you thought we had. We could destroy you now, but that's not who we are. We offer you a choice. Face extinction yourselves, or join us in building something better." The Shadowers' response would determine the galaxy's future, but humanity held the initiative. Through Operation Deadlight, they had demonstrated not just their survival, but their transformation into something unprecedented. Maya stood on her bridge, watching the stars through the quantum-shifted hull of her ship. The counter-agent coursing through her veins made the universe seem sharper, clearer. Humanity hadn't just survived the Shadowers' attack. They had used it as a catalyst for evolution. "What do you think they'll choose?" her first officer asked. Maya considered the question carefully. "They tried to kill us because they feared what we might become," she replied. "Now they'll have to face what we actually are. Something tells me they're about to learn that humanity's greatest weapon isn't our technology or our strength." She paused, watching as more Shadower vessels appeared, weapons powered down in a gesture of submission. "It's our capacity to turn enemies into allies." Operation Deadlight had succeeded beyond its planners' wildest expectations. Humanity had revealed itself not as a dying species, but as one that had used the shadow of death to forge itself into something new. The galaxy would never be the same. The Quantum Gambit, the grand chamber of the Shadower High Council, had never hosted humans before. Admiral Rodriguez stood at its center, his quantum-enhanced mind taking in every detail of the vast crystalline chamber. Around him, the assembled alien representatives shifted uncomfortably in their environmental suits, their bioluminescent patterns betraying their anxiety. "You have achieved what we thought impossible," First Speaker Zixthal acknowledged, its translucent form pulsing with patterns of deep blue and gold. "Not only did you detect our intervention, but you used it to transform yourselves." "That's the thing about humanity," Rodriguez replied, his voice carrying clearly through the chamber's atmospheric interfaces. "We don't just survive challenges, we learn from them. We grow because of them." In orbit above the Shadower homeworld, Maya Patel commanded a fleet of Phantom ships that remained invisible to even the most advanced alien sensors. The quantum mirror technology had evolved far beyond its original design, thanks to insights gained from studying Shadower technology captured during Operation Deadlight. Multiple signatures detected approaching from the Carina arm, Lieutenant Rodriguez reported. matched to known profiles of the Nexus Alliance vessels. Maya's enhanced senses processed the tactical display faster than any unmodified human could have. The Nexus Alliance, the true power behind the Shadowers' actions, had finally decided to show themselves, just as planned. Back in the council chamber, Admiral Rodriguez felt the subtle vibration of his quantum communicator. Right on schedule. Before we continue these discussions, he addressed the Shadower Council. Perhaps we should invite all interested parties to join us, including your partners in the Nexus Alliance. The chamber erupted in chaos as patterns of shock and fear rippled through the assembled Shadowers. First Speaker Zixthal's form became almost transparent, a sign of extreme distress in their species. How? How could you know? Zixthal's voice wavered. The same way we knew about the sterilization program, Rodriguez replied calmly. We learned to see what you thought was hidden, and we discovered something interesting. You're not the architects of this plan. You're its instruments. In space, the Nexus Alliance fleet dropped out of faster-than-light travel, their massive ships dwarfing the visible human vessels. They represented the combined might of the galaxy's oldest civilizations, species that had achieved spaceflight when humans were still learning to make fire. Maya watched as their weapons powered up, targeting systems locking onto the seemingly vulnerable human ships. They hadn't yet realized that these vessels were just a fraction of humanity's true fleet. Now, she commanded. Across 3 dimensions of space and 2 quantum phases, humanity's hidden armada revealed itself. The Phantom Fleet materialized like ghosts becoming solid, their advanced weapons already charged and ready. But it wasn't their military might that would prove decisive today. Dr. Sarah Chen stood on the bridge of the Ghost Runner, monitoring the deployment of humanity's masterstroke. Quantum entanglement field stabilized, she reported. Beginning transmission. The field they generated wasn't a weapon. At least, not in the conventional sense. It was a revelation. Through quantum mechanics that the Nexus Alliance had deemed impossible, humanity broadcast the truth across every ship and installation in the sector. The truth was devastating in its simplicity. The Nexus Alliance had attempted to sterilize humanity not out of fear or hatred, but because their predictive models showed humans achieving something they had failed to accomplish in millions of years. True unity among diverse species. Your civilization is built on a lie, Rodriguez continued in the council chamber, knowing his words were being heard across thousands of ships and worlds. You present yourselves as a cooperative of advanced species, but you're actually an oligarchy that maintains power by preventing younger races from reaching their potential. Through the quantum entanglement field, evidence streamed to every conscious being in range. The Nexus Alliance's long history of subtle intervention, ensuring no species ever developed the ability to challenge their dominion. The Shadowers were just their latest tools, convinced to do the Alliance's dirty work through carefully manipulated fear. Maya watched as the first Nexus Alliance ships began powering down their weapons. Then something unexpected happened. Ships began breaking formation, turning to face not the human fleet, but their own command vessels. Multiple transmissions detected. Lieutenant Rodriguez reported, his enhanced mind processing the flood of data. Various species within the Nexus fleet are declaring independence from Alliance control. They're requesting asylum. In the council chamber, First Speaker Zixthal's color patterns shifted to deep violet, a sign of profound revelation in their species. All this time, they pulsed softly. We thought we were protecting the galaxy's order. Instead, we were enforcing its stagnation. Admiral Rodriguez nodded. That's why your predictive models showed humanity as such a threat. Not because we would destroy civilization, but because we would transform it. We don't just adapt to survive. We help others do the same. The quantum gambit had worked better than anyone had dared to hope. In revealing the truth, humanity had not just defeated the Nexus Alliance. They had liberated countless species from millennia of subtle oppression. Dr. Chen's voice carried a note of wonder as she monitored the quantum field's effects. The changes are cascading through their entire society. The Shadowers' biological patterns are already shifting. They're beginning to adapt and evolve now that the Alliance's suppressive influence is gone. Maya understood the significance. Humanity hadn't just defended itself. It had broken a cycle of stagnation that had gripped the galaxy for millions of years. The quantum-enhanced humans had become a key to unlocking potential that had been artificially suppressed for eons. "Send word to Earth," she ordered. "Tell them to prepare for guests. I think we're about to have a lot of species interested in learning our approach to evolution and adaptation." The stars seemed brighter somehow, as if the galaxy itself was awakening to new possibilities. The quantum gambit had transformed a potential extinction event into a renaissance. Humanity's greatest victory hadn't come through superior firepower or technology, but through their unique ability to turn revelation into revolution. The true war was just beginning. Not a war of weapons, but of ideas, and humanity had already won the first battle. Breaking the chain. The Earth Defense Council chamber had never been so crowded. Representatives from 17 formerly subjugated species sat alongside human leaders, their various environmental suits and containment fields creating a spectacular light show as sunlight streamed through the Geneva facility's crystal dome. Dr. Sarah Chen stood at the podium, presenting her latest findings. The Nexus Alliance's suppression technology wasn't just biological, she explained, her quantum-enhanced mind helping her communicate simultaneously in multiple languages. It was psychological and social. They created invisible barriers to prevent species from achieving their full potential. In the audience, a Carillion delegate, a being of pure energy contained within an advanced matrix, pulsed with understanding. Their species had been stuck at the same technological level for 10,000 years, never quite able to crack the secrets of quantum manipulation. Now they knew why. Admiral Rodriguez watched from his seat as Sarah explained how humanity's counter-agent had done more than just protect against sterilization. It had somehow broken through blocks that had been engineered into countless species over millions of years. "The question isn't just how we move forward," Sarah continued, "but how we help others break free from limitations they didn't even know they had." In orbit, Captain Maya Patel supervised the installation of quantum mirror technology on vessels from dozens of worlds. The Ghost Runner had become a training center, teaching other species not just how to use the technology, but how to understand and improve upon it. "Their minds are like flowers opening to the sun," Maya remarked to her first officer as they watched a group of Shadower engineers master quantum principles that their species had been artificially prevented from grasping for eons. But not everything was proceeding smoothly. The remnants of the Nexus Alliance, though stripped of much of their power, weren't going quietly. Reports came in of isolated holdouts, of hidden weapons platforms being activated, of attempts to reassert control over their former servant races. "They still don't understand," Rodriguez told the assembled council. "They think this is about power, about who controls whom. They can't grasp that we're trying to break that cycle entirely." The breakthrough came from an unexpected source. A young Shadower scientist, working alongside human researchers, discovered that the quantum mirror technology could be modified to break through the deepest level of Nexus control, their fundamental manipulation of the galaxy's information networks. "They didn't just control our bodies and minds," Zixthal explained to the council, their form shimmering with excitement. "They controlled our access to information itself. Every discovery, every innovation had to pass through their filters. But now, the plan that emerged was audacious. Using a combination of human quantum technology and the combined insights of multiple liberated species, they would create a new kind of network, one that couldn't be controlled or censored." Maya found herself commanding a fleet of ships from a dozen worlds, their crews working together to deploy the quantum communication nodes that would form the backbone of this new network. Each node was both everywhere and nowhere, existing in a state of quantum flux that made them impossible to destroy or manipulate. "This is how we break the chain," she told her mixed species crew, "not just by defeating the Nexus Alliance, but by making their kind of control impossible." The deployment wasn't without resistance. Nexus loyalists launched desperate attacks on the installation teams, but they faced something unprecedented: ships and crews that could think and adapt in ways that had been impossible under Alliance control. The quantum-enhanced humans fought alongside their new allies, their combined capabilities exceeding anything the galaxy had seen before. In the Carina Arm, a major breakthrough occurred when a combined human shadower team discovered the source of the Alliance's original suppression technology, ancient installations built into the very fabric of space-time. These installations had been maintaining field effects that subtly influenced the development of all younger species. "They didn't just hold us back," Sarah explained to the Council as the data came in. "They tried to program the very future of the galaxy, but they never considered that someone might break their programming entirely." The campaign to destroy these installations became known as Operation Liberty Bell. Fleet after fleet of combined species forces, led by quantum-enhanced human commanders, systematically located and neutralized these ancient control points. With each one that fell, more species began to experience accelerated development, breaking through barriers they hadn't known existed. But the true victory wasn't military. As the quantum information network spread, species began sharing their experiences, their discoveries, their breakthroughs. Knowledge that had been controlled and suppressed for millions of years began flowing freely between worlds. "We're not just breaking chains," Rodriguez observed as he watched the network light up across a galactic map. "We're building bridges." Maya stood on the bridge of the Ghost Runner, watching as another Nexus installation went dark. Besides her, a Carillion engineer and a Shadower tactical officer worked in perfect synchronization, their formerly suppressed abilities now flowering in ways that would have been impossible months ago. "They wanted to prevent us from reaching our potential," she mused. "Instead, they pushed us to achieve something even greater, helping everyone reach theirs." The liberation of the galaxy wouldn't happen overnight. There were still battles to be fought, minds to be freed, chains to be broken. But the path forward was clear. Humanity had transformed from a target for extinction into a catalyst for evolution, and the galaxy would never be the same. As the quantum network grew stronger, as more species broke free from their ancient limitations, a new kind of civilization began to emerge. Not one built on control and suppression, but on cooperation and shared growth. The chain was breaking, link by link, and something beautiful was being forged in its place. Dawn of the new era. 5 years after the quantum gambit, the galactic landscape had transformed beyond recognition. The Titan research station, where Dr. Sarah Chen had first discovered the Shadower sterilization attempt, had become the galaxy's premier center for cross-species genetic research. Its laboratories hummed with the combined brilliance of minds from 100 worlds, each bringing perspectives that had been locked away for millennia. "It's beautiful, isn't it?" Sarah asked Admiral Rodriguez as they stood in the station's new quantum observatory. Before them, a real-time hologram showed the spread of the quantum information network across the galaxy, each point of light representing a liberated world. "Beautiful and terrifying," Rodriguez replied. The Nexus Alliance thought they were protecting the galaxy from chaos. Instead, they were preventing it from achieving true harmony. The last strongholds of the Alliance had fallen not to military might, but to the unstoppable force of shared knowledge and awakened potential. As each species broke free from their artificial limitations, they brought unique insights that helped others do the same. The quantum-enhanced humans had been the key that unlocked the door, but every species had helped build what lay beyond it. Captain Maya Patel, now Fleet Admiral Patel, commanded the combined species exploration force from the upgraded Ghost Runner. The ship's crew included members of 20 different species, each contributing capabilities that had been suppressed for generations. Their mission was no longer to fight wars, but to push the boundaries of what was possible. Long-range quantum sensors detecting something unprecedented, her Carillion science officer reported. A dimensional anomaly that matches theoretical predictions about conscious space-time. Maya leaned forward in her command chair, her enhanced mind quickly processing the implications. You mean? Yes, Admiral. We may have found evidence that the galaxy itself is awakening. The theory had emerged from combined research by human, shadower, and Carillion scientists. The quantum network humanity had helped create wasn't just sharing information, it was creating new connections on a fundamental level. The galaxy was becoming aware of itself through the combined consciousness of its inhabitants. Back on Earth, the Defense Council had evolved into the Galactic Cooperation Assembly. In the Geneva chamber, First Speaker Zixthal addressed representatives from over 500 species, their form glowing with patterns that expressed complex emotions no translation matrix could fully capture. When we first encountered humanity, they pulsed. We saw them as a threat to be eliminated. The Nexus Alliance had convinced us that their potential for growth was dangerous. Now we understand that potential wasn't unique to humans. It exists in all of us. Humanity simply showed us how to embrace it. Dr. Chen's latest research had revealed something astounding. The quantum-enhanced capabilities that humans had developed in response to the sterilization threat weren't just adaptations, they were the awakening of abilities that existed in all sentient species. The Nexus Alliance hadn't just been suppressing technology and knowledge, they had been preventing the natural evolution of consciousness itself. Each species brings something unique to the quantum network, Sarah explained to a class of multi-species students. Humans contributed our adaptability and innovation. The Shadowers brought their understanding of biological patterns. The Carillions added their mastery of energy manipulation. Together, we're achieving what the Alliance feared most, true transcendence. The Ghost Runner's discovery of conscious space-time proved to be just the beginning. As more species added their perspectives to the quantum network, new understandings of reality itself emerged. The barriers between mind and matter, between consciousness and space-time, began to blur. Maya stood on her bridge, watching as her mixed crew worked together to explore these new frontiers. They tried to sterilize us, she mused to her first officer, a young shadower named Ix Telephone. Instead, they made us midwives to the galaxy's rebirth. The quantum network continued to grow, but it was no longer just a communication system. It had become a living thing, a collective consciousness that preserved individuality while enabling levels of cooperation once thought impossible. The Nexus Alliance's greatest fear, that species working together would transcend their control, had become reality, but not in the way they had imagined. The dawn of a new era, Rodriguez said, standing with Sarah in the Titan Station's observatory. They watched as another cluster of lights joined the quantum network, another group of species breaking free from ancient chains. Not just new, Sarah corrected him, her enhanced mind perceiving patterns that stretched across space and time. This is what was always meant to be. The natural evolution they tried to prevent. The galaxy continued to change, to grow, to evolve. The human qualities that had once been seen as threatening, adaptability, innovation, the drive to transcend limitations, had become the catalyst for universal transformation. But humanity hadn't conquered the galaxy, they had helped it liberate itself. In the vast chambers of conscious space-time discovered by the Ghost Runner, representatives from thousands of species gathered to explore what came next. They were no longer separate peoples divided by differences, but part of something greater, a cosmic consciousness awakening to its own potential. The quantum network pulsed with the combined thoughts and dreams of countless beings. In its light, the old divisions and fears that had driven the Nexus Alliance seemed small and distant. The chain of suppression had been broken, replaced by bonds of cooperation and shared discovery. Maya Patel looked out at the star-filled void, now alive with possibilities that no single species could have imagined alone. They tried to kill us, she whispered, but instead they helped us give birth to something beautiful. The dawn of the new era had arrived, not through conquest or control, but through the very thing the Nexus Alliance had feared most. the unlimited potential of beings working together, growing together, transcending together. And somewhere in the quantum network, in the spaces between thoughts and stars, the awakening galaxy smiled.